What happened?
Gods. Priscilla. Is she gonna live?
Well, I'd say that's certain. Her condition's critical but stable.
Okay, that's good.
Beg your
Ooh,
pardon,
she
but
does not look so great.
you are a relative?
Relative? No, a friend. A very close friend.
Dandelion, correct? She
How'd you
uttered
know?
the name in her few moments of lucidity.
Oh,
I
is that
am
so?
Joachim von Gratz, head of surgery. Until recently, a lecturer at Oxenfurt Academy.
All right, well, I mean, no need to brag about it.
courtesies. What are her injuries, besides her eye?
A concussion, cranial swelling, incision into her larynx, and scalding inside the throat and esophagus.
What did they do?
Clearly someone forced her to imbibe a caustic fluid.
Yeah, ask her to force her to drink lava or something? Yeah, this was no ordinary attack, but who did this?
Who could have done this?
That I do not know. I do, however, know she is not the perpetrator's first victim.
How can you know that?
I've seen wounds like this. They're not the kind one would forget, don't you agree? In fact, just this week, a corpse turned up in the morgue with similar injuries. And no heart.
What?
You mean that might have happened to Priscilla? Is someone looking into this?
Looks like she might
This
have
is Novigrad.
got off easy in that
Only
case.
the innocent burn here.
Geralt,
That's one way to phrase it. Yeah, I mean, that's
I
kind
know
of
I
true.
owe you 100 times over, but I need to ask you another favor. Find the bastard who did this. Find him. And kill him.
Don't need any convincing. Come on, Dandelion. Let's think about what we can do.
I would suggest examining the previous victim's corpse. It has yet to be autopsied. Doing so could very well provide some clues. No need to look astonished, gentlemen. As a surgeon, I know the importance of preventive medicine. Rather than wait for this maniac to strike again, I'd prefer to excise him. Not unlike a tumor.
Okay, a weird analogy, but putting yourself in danger? Like the guy we're talking to, I'm not totally sure I follow, but okay.
Great analogy. But this tumor's not gonna sit there, wait to be excised. Appreciate the help, but I doubt you know what you're getting yourself into.
I know perfectly well.
Oh, he's saying he's
And I assure
in
you
on it
I
too.
can take care of myself.
Easy
Doesn't she
assurance
at
to
risk?
make. Harder to back up. Especially if you've spent your whole life wielding a scalpel, not a sword.
Ooh, shots fired.
Look at this scar. Don't be shy. Any idea what leaves such a mark?
A flail. Morning star, maybe.
What do you think? A blow sustained at the operating table? No? Let me repeat. I know what I'm doing, and I wish to help.
Alright, fair enough. Can I get into the morgue? Also, where is it?
Think they'll let me into the morgue?
By the main entrance, certainly not. But you can also get inside through the sewers.
Is that
Sewers.
so?
Travel them often, Doctor?
As often as required for, the pursuit of preventive medicine.
Huh?
Alternative treatments. Aggressive ones, I'm guessing. Interesting.
What?
We can discuss this en route. Are you ready?
You're coming with us, it sounds? Wasn't there... We wanted to autopsy the body first, did we not? Give us a second.
No. Need to tend to something first.
In that case, we shall meet by the Kingfisher.
Oh, well, that is
I'll
where
await
the-
you there.
I'll get whoever
Oh.
did this, Dandelion. Even if it's Hierarch Hemmelfart himself.
Thanks.
We are going to get the body in the morgue, are we not? That's why we're going through. Carnal Sins. It is a new quest. Let's take a look. Okay. Talk to Dandelion. Talk to Dandelion. Let's see. Telling the story, my dear reader, will tax me greatly. It is a dark and somber one, encompassing the greatest sorrow my heart has ever known. It all started the day of the grand opening of my cabaret. Everything had been spit-polished to perfection. All that was left to wait for was Priscilla, whose performance was to be the crowning moment of this glorious evening. Yet when the doors of the chameleon burst open, it was not she who stepped inside. Instead, it was a messenger from the Vilmurius Hospital. His face pale and his countenance dour, he informed us Priscilla had been badly wounded in an assault and was currently tottering on the brink of death. Okay, so meet with Von Gratz, yes. But, yeah, okay. Is there anything else that we need to do here first? I can loot this. Possibly, maybe. I mean, it's glowing, but it doesn't seem as though you can actually take anything from it, so apparently not. We did also get our character description for... Where are ya? Priscilla, updated. I do wonder what that says. Of course, there are many here that we have not necessarily read or read in full, but you guys were saying previously that there's not much reason to make a point of doing all that stuff. But on this occasion, it seems like that might be worth doing. Let's see. News that Priscilla had fallen victim to a brutal attack hit me like a landslide of avalanches. Okay, pretty sure those are two... Arguably, I don't know enough of the difference between the landslide and avalanche to say if that's technically the same thing or not, but why someone would possibly want to harm such an innocent creature was a complete mystery to me. That's true, we don't really know why this person was trying to harm Priscilla. Priscilla had been horribly wounded, and her life hung by a thread. Whoever had done this to her did not deserve to live on. Okay. So, I suppose... Okay, well, don't switch us back to the main quest. That is definitely not what we're looking to do. Okay. Now we'll meet up with this guy, because I suppose we actually have done everything that we need to do here. Unless we can, like, talk to Dandelion and or Priscilla at this stage, but I'm doubtful they'll have much to say. Priscilla?
Geralt?
Yes? Yeah, she didn't look great. From what we were seeing before. We do also have other things to do in the sewers as well. So this might not be a bad time to make a point of going down there. Okay. So let's find where this guy said he'd meet us. Is, hold on. Where? The path that you are suggesting that we take is awfully confusing right now. It's doubling back on itself all over the place. Let's just look at our map. That's probably a better way to know. Okay. Okay. Basically in the middle of town. That can be arranged. Ah! Sorry. My bad. I guess. But I'm pretty sure you're just floating in midair, little boy. Teach me your ways. Oh, okay. This is in a strange place. Have we seen this before?
Well,
You have the key to open this up?
for a stroll through the sewers.
I suppose so. Nah, join you later. Wait, we can't even do that? Oh no, we said that before. That's why that's grayed out. Okay. For a second, I thought, like, are we locked in? We don't even have an option? No, we're going down.
Ready and intrigued.
Intrigued may not be the word I would use in this case. Yeah, I don't necessarily trust this guy all that much.
Preventive medicine you practice in the sewers.
This is
that about?
awfully suspicious.
Sewing up drowner victims can grow awfully tedious. Is it not better to nip the problem in the bud? I tried to get the temple guard to enter the sewers, alas, to no avail.
Oh, so you tried to
I
take
took
out
matters
the
into
drowner?
my own hands.
At no charge. You damned idealists. Ruining the market for us.
Ruin the market for us, witchers. Okay, just want to save in case things go awry here. I
Hear that?
Been hearing it for a while. Draw your weapon.
Yeah, I can see something on the other side. But also, the loot has, at least in the past, been quite good in the sewers, so you want to make sure... what? You have a crossbow? That's your weapon? I would just like to loot this first, please. Could you please not go speeding ahead like that? I would prefer you gave us plenty of time to loot things. That's a level 16 Grounder, right? That's a pretty strong Grounder. Grounder's no joke. And I'm pretty sure this was a level 16 quest, so it couldn't really come as a surprise, but none of that, please. Also, I really thought we were going to get our sign back quickly enough. Yeah, the thing I don't get about the sewers is I don't have a great sense as to how or to what extent they are all interconnected. Because we... Oh, that's a different kind of enemy. Oh, did we do that? Suppose we did. None of that. We chilled you. Actually, worked out quite well for us. Yeah, because we've gone through the sewer from any of a number of different angles, and we have, of course, seen the... Why are you shooting at? Stop picking fights. We've seen the, like, doors that have been locked in the past and not been able to go through. Okay, well, that presumably is what you're shooting at. Can you actually damage them from here? I doubt it. So, like, for example, could we have gotten to this section of the sewers previously if we wanted to? Or would this section have been locked off to us?
Lost it. Kill one, another takes its place.
I know how you feel, believe me.
Yeah, we are experienced when it comes to taking out drowners.
Where to
Like-
now? Up?
Yes, it's not far now.
Priscilla. How's it look? Give it to me straight, no sugarcoating.
Okay, hold
Her
on.
wounds will heal, but it's her voice that concerns me.
Oh.
Surely you understand.
Oh,
what a
come on.
terrible
Stairs are
blow
hard.
That would be to a Troberet. Enough to strip her of the will to live.
Any remedy for that?
I fear only your friend Dandelion can be of help on that count.
Anything else up here? Yeah, like, for example, would we be able to explore other sections of the sewer from here, or is this disconnected from other areas? Because I know we were saying previously that there are other areas that we do still want to do more things in the sewers. But can we do that here, or do we need to make that a separate trip? Is basically what I'm wondering. Because this seems like if this is taking us to the surface, then this is definitely an entirely different area.
This is the place. Come, the quicker we take care of this, the better.
Why? Got somewhere to be?
Someone might disturb us. The coroner, for example. Or Reverend Nathaniel Pastodi.
Oh.
Very well.
One
Seek the
second,
corpse
though.
of a dwarven woodcarver.
Are we supposed to be stealthing? There's a lot of stuff for us to loot. And so I would like to make sure that we loot everything before we go speeding off to do that other stuff. I mean, sure, most of it's probably just going to be alcohol and water. But every once in a while, we'll get an olive. We'll get some suent mushrooms. My favorite. Not really. I have to imagine we're getting a key for that at some point in the not-so-distant future. Okay, so I see the quest stuff, yes. But also, see the other things, too. Apparently we were standing on that. So let's make sure we take this other stuff. Because, getting the sense, since we maybe aren't really supposed to be here... Okay, clearly there's something there. But I'm getting the sense that since we aren't really supposed to be here, that could be that as soon as we interact with the quest items, we might need to run. Or we'll get teleported elsewhere. So this might be our only chance to loot this stuff. If... There we go. See anything else? That might have been it. Okay. Now let's examine.
Human. Wrong body type.
Huh? Wrong body type for what? Oh, find the dwarven woodcarver's body. Gotcha. I was like, who are you to judge, Geralt?
Looks like necrophages got to this one. Let's keep looking.
Oh, okay. The area is larger than I first gave it credit for. I mean, I saw the other sections on the map, yes. But I thought that was a different type of thing. Okay, well, I mean, there's more stuff for us to loot. There's more alcohol to be had. Should I be concerned that the coroner is seemingly showing signs of a serious drinking problem? I mean, serious. Water included. That looks like the next... Well, either of these could be the next area, so to speak. Is this the place where we just were? No, this is a new place. Okay, that looks like that might be a dwarf. I think that's the person we're looking for. But again, all the more reason for us to be looting in advance, I think. There's so many doors in the areas. One step at a time here. One step at a time. Ooh, silver candelabrum. That's not bad. I can break down into useful components. Okay, so like before we actually interact with you guys, I want to make sure that we loot all this stuff here. And probably even check what's through these doors. Unless we are at the risk of running into that person you were saying we should be wary of. Okay, we've been in there. We explored. This is where we came up, because this was the locked door. Okay. We've done that. We've done this. We've done... what? This. We just haven't done this yet. Anyone we should be wary of? Not that I can tell. Okay, and there's some decent stuff in here, no less. I don't know if we've read that. That one looks a little bit different. In truth, there is not more repulsive than these monsters that defy nature and are known by the name of Witcher. But maybe we have read this. They are the offspring of the foul sorcery and witchcraft. They are veritable scoundrels without conscience and virtue, unscrupulous creatures of hell, able only to take lives. They have no place amongst decent and honest folk. And this keep, this Kaer Morhen, where these villains nest and practice their foul rituals, must be wiped from the earth. All traces of it treated with salt and saltpeter? Yeah. To complete the deed. Okay, glad to hear we have fans. That I'm pretty sure is not the person we're looking for. We're still just gonna loot everything first, just in case. Try to follow behind us a little bit less creepily. Dude. 5th essence, that's actually pretty good crafting material, I think. And then you, for some reason, are not highlighted in red, even though you're also dead body?
Wrong body type.
Okay. I was wondering if maybe we'd be looting that body instead of examining it. Okay. But I mean, sure, we'll examine this one because we're here, just in case, but I'm doubtful.
Let's keep looking.
I think it's that guy we were talking about in the other room there. I believe... is that guy there. Oh, there are multiple dwarves, it seems.
Calluses on the fingers, sawdust in the beard, clothes sticky with sap. Must be our dwarf.
Excellent. I trust you don't grow weak in the knees at the sight of blood.
Not a bit.
Not really.
Start the autopsy.
Where?
Let's see. What exactly were we looking for? This is one of the other attack victims. We're assuming from the same person who, or creature, or whatever it was, that attacked Priscilla. So I think, at least from what we saw in Priscilla, it was mostly the head that we could tell.
Let's look at his head. Hair smells like it's burnt, like he was in a fire.
Notice anything else? That his eyes have been scooped out, for instance?
Oh. Grand. Lovely. Ooh. Okay. His larynx has been cut? Man.
See this? Incision made into the voice box.
Indeed. So thin as to be nearly unnoticeable.
A small, extremely sharp instrument. Scalpel.
But why? The wound is too small to bleed, and there are signs of swelling. The murderer... I believe he performed a tracheotomy, so the victim wouldn't die too soon.
What? Huh? Okay. Look in his mouth?
Let's examine the mouth. Burns, blisters.
Just like Priscilla's.
So did you also make this person eat hot lava?
Those burn marks I see in his eye sockets.
Yes, and some gray dust. ash, it seems. Very fine.
Murderer gouged out his eyes, then put burning coals in the sockets.
Ooh.
So it seems. Looking at the wounds,
That's pretty terrible.
it appears our woodcarver was still alive when it happened.
Oh man, that's painful. That is insanely painful. Okay, what about other things? What else can we learn? Torso?
Let's examine his torso.
What have we here? Deep wound on the left side of his rib cage.
They take out his heart,
And a
like you were
scar
saying?
the length of his stomach.
I mean, I'm hoping we don't have like an animation for this. If you guys are a little bit uneasy with blood and gore and medical stuff like this, then I would say, well, maybe just look away for a little bit here.
Let's examine the chest wound. Yeah, heart carved out, wound cauterized.
And yes,
Wait a
there
minute,
is at least a
there's
little
something
bit
else.
of visuals to go along with it. Ooh, okay, sound effects though. Don't like that. Dude, you done? What the heck is
An
that?
egg from an amphibian.
What?
A salamander? Scorched but intact.
What the heck?
I attended some lectures in herpetology as a student. Afraid I don't recall any amphibians that would lay eggs in corpses. So either Professor Cochrane was deeply mistaken, or this is our murderer's doing.
What the heck? I don't know what to make of that. Check the scar, I guess?
Look at the scar. Wounds long and thin, an incision, but the edges are ragged.
Means nothing. Look, no swelling, no bruises. An old injury, perhaps an accident in the workplace.
Alright, if you insist, I hesitate to do this one. Okay.
Open the abdominal cavity.
Due warning, it will stink of rot.
Fantastic.
Once fought a Zoogle up to my waist in sewage, so I doubt... Wait. Smells not rot.
Huh?
Formaldehyde. A medical novelty. Heavily diluted, it's remarkable at preserving organic tissue. In stronger proportions, it's more destructive than acid.
Explains why there's no smell of decay, and why his throat's scalded.
Did he actually just like... Did they make him drink formaldehyde? Is that what happened? Okay, hands? Sure?
Look at his hands. These welts. Rope burns, right? He was tied up.
I'd expect so. No one could sit through such torture unless bound.
Speaking from experience.
Yes, that of a victim. Spent a year in the dungeons of Tretogor. Long story.
Some other time, maybe.
Tretogor
See
is,
the callus?
Redania,
Our
right?
dwarf wore a ring, but someone took it off him.
Okay, that's everything for the hands. What about the legs? Kinda hoping we
See
don't need to
anything
do that
interesting
last
on his
option there.
legs?
His right foot. The ankle swollen, toenails broken. He clearly kicked something very hard. Right before he kicked the bucket.
Doesn't strike me as the right time for jokes.
Apologies.
Yeah.
We're surgeons. We've a different sensibility.
And a different sense of humor.
Yeah, so like, I mean, we've gotten a lot of good information. I'm really hoping we don't need to do this, but at the same time, I feel like if we don't, then we are at the risk of losing out some valuable information. So, pretty decent chance I'm going to end up blurring this depending on just, well, what exactly they show. But you've been forewarned.
His genitals. We ought to inspect those.
Really,
I
Carol?
sincerely doubt they bear any relation to the matter.
Thank you. We'll see. Oh gosh. The only reason I do it is because there's the option there, so I'm assuming there's at least a chance there is something of note. And now you're making me... you're pushing me. Like, are you sure you really need to do that? I don't want to. But the fact that you're putting it as an option implies that there is something to be found. So, this is what I think. You're probably right. There's nothing to be seen there. It seems like we've gotten the big stuff. That being the things around the throat and the heart and the amphibious egg. So, but at the same time, like, maybe? I hate that you're making me do this. I hate this so much.
We'll see. Pull down his trousers and... shit.
Syphilis, actually. Early stages. No sign of diffusion.
Think there could be a connection?
Only as the killer's potential motivation.
Okay, at least it didn't show anything. Okay. Okay. Whew, thank goodness. Alright, I think we know enough.
Alright. Think I know enough.
Enlighten me, please, because I've still no notion what this is about. What the motive might have been.
Do we actually need to piece this together ourselves? Okay, apparently we do. So what are our options here? This was a ritual murder. Maybe where... I mean, the formaldehyde is strange. It doesn't seem very ritual-y, but the amphibious egg, maybe that part is. It was a punishment. No motive, murder is mad. Rather not share my conclusion. This is none of your business. I mean... I honestly don't know. All these seem like guesses to me. Like, I could probably find a way to spin an explanation that fits any of these, but it would be a guess in any case. So, I mean, are there other clues we can pick up for examining other people or other things in this area? I don't know. Right now, I feel like I'd say rather not share my conclusion because my conclusion is inconclusive.
Sorry. Rather not share my conclusions just yet.
I understand. For the good of the investigation. Will you at least share what you intend to do?
Are there more
It's a
things
lead worth following. Any idea what his name was?
Fabian Meyer.
Hello?
And I'm Hubert Reich, the coroner. I've come to perform the autopsy, but I see you've done it for me, Joachim. As always, you interfere where you're neither needed nor wanted. Drag others into trouble in the process. Who is this?
A student. Lifelong learner. Got a couple questions for you.
Very well, speak. But be quick. Reverend Nathaniel has come by for an inspection. He'll be here shortly.
Okay, that's two people bringing up Reverend Nathaniel, expressing concern about him. Are we really to be worried about him? Maybe. But, yeah, it seems like you two know each other.
You old friends?
Also, I'm
Hubert
immediately suspicious
taught
of
me
this
the
person.
rudiments of medicine. Long ago.
And not very well. You've still not mastered certain basic principles. For example, that a doctor's role is to treat the ill, not save the world.
You've not changed a bit.
A compliment?
No, a statement of fact. 30 years, and you've not changed a bit.
What are you saying? Saying he's not aging? 30 years is a pretty long time. You would assume someone would age, unless, like, I mean, Witchers, they're in a different category, right? With their mutagens, they live much longer. So, like, maybe in a Witcher's case, he might not look much different 30 years in the future. But, I mean, Witchers are not human. They're mutated humans. This person is presumably not a Witcher, but it implies that they're some other non-human, which further increases my suspicion. I mean, the fact that the reason why I'm somewhat suspicious of this person is because they have access to all of these dead people. So, like, this person may have died initially, yes, but were all of these wounds that we were just inspecting things that the initial murderer did? Or could perhaps this person have done some of the things to them? I wouldn't necessarily rule that out. So where was the body found?
Woodcarver's body. Where was it found? It's important.
Plan to investigate? Exciting. He died in his workshop south of the market square, just beside the gate to Far Corners. That poor Trebirates was attacked there. City's abuzz about it. But the woodcarver, Eustace the corpse collector, brought us the body. You should speak to him. Saw him just around the corner near... Oh, greetings.
Oh.
Reverence.
Who are these people? I believe I made it clear no one's to be allowed in.
Is this
under
the person
any
we've been waiting for?
circumstances.
You did, but they're friends of the deceased. Here to collect the body.
Out of the question. Show them out at once.
As your reverence wishes. Gentlemen, follow me. You shall leave via another route.
Okay.
Why do you cover for us?
I was covering my own arse. If Reverend Nathaniel had learned someone had entered the morgue, then cut open a corpse without his permission, I'd be in deep trouble. But you didn't give that a thought, did you, Joachim? As ever. Well, while I don't approve of your willfulness, I also wish to see this murderer hang. So, should I learn anything new related to this case, I will let you know.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I think he's withholding a lot of information from us. I think that was an outright lie about the murderer. Just an easy way to say, oh, don't worry. Don't suspect me. Could have told us he knew the coroner, yes, but also this Nathaniel guy, I'm curious about him.
Nathaniel, who is he?
A scoundrel, a rogue, like every man who wears the robes of the eternal fire.
Most are scoundrels before they ever put on the robes.
True in his case as well. Before he donned the frock, Nathaniel was a torturer.
Oh, lovely.
Delighted especially in torturing women. Later, Hierarch Hemmelfart appointed him to oversee the morgue. He deals with the temple guard, supervises cremations, conducts funeral masses in the temple on the Isle, and so forth.
Dream job.
So, that does sound a lot like he could also be involved in this in some way, shape, or form. And that would explain why he doesn't want anyone hanging out in the morgue, because, I mean, if he was a torturer, and, I mean, some of the things we saw on that body there, so it certainly suggested that this person who killed him was not someone who's just looking to, well, you know, just kill him and be done with it. They did some weird things. Certainly tortured him. So, I mean, not to say that there's only one torturer in this world. There are a lot of people who do a lot of weird things. But that does seem like a lot of those things align there, where I'm not ready to, well, I mean, not that there was any reason to necessarily say that that person was innocent, but I think I have reason to be suspicious of both those two in the morgue there. They might be a little bit in cahoots with one another. Seems like Nathaniel is the one who's running the show, yes, and might actually be the killer, whereas basically just needs to have the coroner in on it as well, otherwise the coroner would be the first person to rat him out. So since he's in charge of the coroner, he's his boss, he can just make it very clear that, hey, you're supposed to say nothing and let no one in here. That way no one figures it out. That's my theory.
You told me you know the coroner. We could have skipped the trip through the sewers.
I know him, thus I avoid him. I've said enough on the subject.
I decide when I've heard enough. I mean, it does seem like, as I was just saying, I am suspicious of both those guys there, so the more information we could get, the better. But, this person we're speaking to right now is awfully mysterious as well. I mean, I don't really suspect that he is directly involved here, the medic, the person whose name I don't remember, but who's been walking alongside us this whole time. I mean, may be aware of the process, could perhaps know who the killers actually are and just doesn't want to tell us it, but I don't think he's directly involved. So on one hand, I don't want to press him because he is still one of our best allies for figuring this stuff out. On the other hand, there is some important information that he's withholding. And so this is the kind of situation in which we found ourselves in on a few occasions where people have certainly gotten very mad with us on some occasions when we've done things like this. I don't need to tell you the first person that comes to mind when I say this. I'm gonna give it a shot, but this could definitely backfire.
I decide when we're done with this subject. What's your connection to him?
An old story, but
Okay.
if you insist. The student protests in 1242, you've heard of
Please,
them?
he's not, turn around
I
and
led
fighting
them.
us to the death.
Hubert, however, denounced me to the authorities. I landed in prison. There you have it. What will you do now?
Plenty of leads. Woodcarver's workshop, the corpse collector who found him, alley where Priscilla was attacked. Got work to do.
That guard's been
As do
eavesdropping on this entire
The
conversation.
hospital. I must return there, but I shall keep my fingers crossed.
And I'll keep my eye on you.
Oh, okay. Geralt's not letting him off the hook yet. Okay. New character entry added, Nathaniel Pastodi. And so I do feel like we might want to read up on those guys because, like I said, I think they are... they're suspects number 1 and 2. I think so. So, in the interest of our investigation, you're one of them. You're the coroner. The wave of religious and racially motivated killings that's... Oh, we know that they're racially motivated? I mean, there were a lot of dwarves down there, but killings that swept through Novigrad in the spring of 1272 coincided with Hubert Reich's term as coroner at the city morgue. Because of this, he was overworked and additionally had to bear the harassment of his dislikable superior, Reverend Nathaniel. It is thus no surprise that he came across as unpleasant and sarcastic when Geralt and he first met. Furthermore, it was clear there was bad blood between him and Joachim von Gratz, a fact that did little to improve the already rather stiff atmosphere at the morgue. Not punny. Nevertheless, having learned the reason for Geralt's unexpected visit, Hubert made it clear Geralt and Joachim could count on his help. That is true. He was pretty helpful. If you were in on it, then he presumably would not have shared as much information with us and would have just immediately seen us out and would not have covered for us when Nathaniel Pastodi stopped by. What do we know about Pastodi? Reverend Nathaniel, supervisor of the city morgue and cleric of the Church of the Eternal Fire, was a man with a vile character and a stormy past. Before donning the frock, he had served for years as the city torturer. One would be hard-pressed to find a more inferior candidate for a pastor than a former hangman, but, as the saying goes, in Novigrad, anything is possible. Okay, so in that case, I'm feeling a little bit less suspicious of Hubert, but certainly still suspicious of Pastodi. I mean, I feel like that's the easy answer is just say, oh, well, it's the guy who's the torturer, who everyone hates, right? So maybe it's our friend all along, and that would be the cliche answer. As well, I guess they're both cliche answers. So, murder mysteries are all full of cliches, okay? So here's something. Let's see. Let's take a closer look at what our options here are. Investigate the alley where Priscilla was attacked using your Witcher senses. Examine the place where the woodcarver died using your Witcher senses. Or find Eustace, the corpse collector. So, this is a tricky one, because I feel like this could be one of those situations in which, technically speaking, although these all look like they are equally important, that might not actually be the case. It could potentially be that doing one of these will kick off a series of events that puts us in sort of a point of no return thing where we could end up, say if we go to the corpse collector, turns out he's clearly the killer, and then it turns into like a chase scene, then we might miss our opportunity to do both of these things. So I don't know which, if any of those things, might trigger such an event. Maybe the corpse collector is the one most likely to do that. But, yeah. Just bear that in mind, I think. So let's go forward. I mean, there's one that's like right in front of us, is there not?
What happened here? Monsters must have run him down.
So, like, if we were to say, do this, is this the corpse collector right here? It is. Okay, so for that reason, let's deliberately not do that one. It is, of course, the closest, yes. And it does appear so there are more corpses for him to investigate, which is not a good sign. What was that sound? Sounded like a drowner in the middle of the city. A little confused. So one of these is actually... That's in the area of the city where,
Anyone home?
King of Beggars' place is? Seems like it.
Or I'll sick me hounds on you. Molly, Striga, come!
Huh?
Relax. I'm here about Fabian Meyer, looking for his killer.
That's altogether different. Sit, you stupid mutts, lie down. Come on in. Slowly now, lest they bite you.
Charming little creatures there. I mean, we haven't actually seen your dogs yet, but apparently you were
Charming as beasts
prepared to
go.
set them out on us.
Daft. Even I'm scared of them. A better barking dog than an evil man at your door.
Got someone particular in mind?
Sure as shite. Bugger who did Fabian in. As soon as they'd hauled his corpse off, I run to a mate who raises fighting dogs. Bought these 2 mutts. Cost me a chunk of change. And I sleep sound at least.
I didn't realize you were a Passion Pit fan. But, who are you?
So who might you be?
The Stiff's brother. Gus is the name. We ran a workshop together. Meyer and Meyer.
Very creative. What a name. There's
What'll it be
the
now?
dog. That is a big
Just a
dog.
mire.
It's like bigger than
Damn
you.
it. I'll be closing it down now. As soon as I find a buyer for this shack, I'll head on to Mahakam. Be near my family or what's left of it. So, what do you want to know? What can I tell you about Fabian?
We've talked enough, actually. Thank you very much. Now, your brother have any enemies? Say, people who would have wanted to have seen him go dead.
Your brother have any enemies? Anyone dislike him? Threaten him, maybe?
'Twas Fabian who threatened this one last.
Hmm?
A good dwarf. Craftsman like no other. But he were an incorrigible whoremonger as well. Whenever we put a bit of coin aside, I'd say, let's buy some tools, quality timber. No, he grabbed the purse and head out whoring. Took to following one in particular. He'd say, "'Tis all your fault, dirty bitch, human dish rag," and other obscenities. Don't rightly know what that was about. Maybe he was in love with her.
Know where I can find her? This dish rag?
City cemetery. She died a few days back,
Oh.
quietly in her sleep. The Pont said a fever took her.
Alright, so that's another sort of lead. So potentially a bit of a dead end. But do you know much about the murder?
Tell me what you know about the murder, in order, in detail.
'Twas like this. Had some work in Oxenford, and I was coming home. Saw a plume of smoke rising over the city. Thought to myself, blast it, gonna miss him burn another hag. But the smoke wasn't coming from Hierarch Square. It was coming from here. See the soot stains? That's where they burned our sculptures. Folk gathered round the blaze and found Fabian here beside it. They'd already loaded him on the cart by the time I arrived.
Talk to your neighbors. They see anything suspicious beforehand? Hear anything?
Claimed not to. But even if they had, they'd not have helped. In Novigrad, folk give bleeding orphans in the street a wide berth so as not to stain their poor lanes. They care about some dwarf.
Okay, I suppose we have talked enough. I mean, classic imposter strategy, right? To say you weren't in that place where the killing happened. So, still... I mean, I guess we don't have much reason to suspect you other than that our relatives usually high on the list of potential suspects. So, I mean,
Fine.
we don't
We've
really have any
talked enough.
hard evidence that points
Need
to
to
you.
look around.
Be my
If
guest.
we are to take your word,
Just beware
then
of the dogs.
do we actually need to stay away from the dog?